This is Zach Clark, Developmental Leadership Coaching. I'm really excited about what I want to talk to you about today on this video because it really gets to the heart of what is holding most ministries back. Their lack of support in being able to move forward. They have huge work ahead, big opportunities, these doors are opening, they want to walk through it, but they just don't have the support they need to take those next steps. And there is a way to begin to turn that around and move forward on those projects. And I want to share with you just a few things that will help you do that. This starts with you. So you're going to have to own this. You're going to have to be the one to really lead the way. First of all, I want you to stop using the lowest common denominator approach to raising money. So many ministries do this. In fact, it's hard to find those that don't. They look at the big organizations, they look at the big fundraising machines, and they think, man, all we have to do is get 100 people for the price of a cup of coffee to give, and we're going to be able to do the next thing. It will never, ever work that way. It's one of the lies in our fundraising culture that keeps getting perpetuated. No, it never works that way. That is simply a tactic to get people to give at a certain level. You will never, ever, ever have a certain amount of people giving at a certain level, and that's going to enable you to fund that project. It won't work that way. I dare you to find a time that it will. I've never seen it, and I never will. It does not work that way because people are not that way. Those are all donor recruiting tactics, and we're not interested in recruiting a bunch of people just to get one thing done, are we? You want to move forward over the long haul and have the impact that only your ministry can have. So stop using that lowest common denominator approach. And not saying you can't have elements of your program that way, but man, when people start talking about those kinds of strategies, bells should go off in your head that that will never work. We're not going to take our energy and our time and putting our efforts there. So stop doing the lowest common denominator approach. Number two, you really do need to reinvent yourself. Somewhere along the way, I'm afraid, you have lost sight of how truly important you are in the leadership role that you play. God has called you and equipped you, and you're doing good work, but you're beginning to lose sight that there is an impact that only you can have on other people in this ministry. And I need you to grab a hold of that and get a new sense of what that is. You can have an impact that no one else can have. I've never met a leader in a ministry, and I'm not talking about necessarily the leader, someone in a leadership role. I've never met a man or woman in a leadership role that could not personally engage 50 to 200 people a year in educating them and helping them develop a deeper heart for the ministry. I'm not talking about fundraising, meeting with 50 people and asking them for a gift. I'm talking about developing real relationships with people where their heart begins to connect to your heart for the ministry. I've never met a man or woman that could not engage 50 to 200 people. And you know what the limiter is? It's not time. It's your drive. Do you have the drive it takes to really engage people in that way? And then lastly, the third thing, I want you to stop seeking after broad-based solutions and start focusing instead on the individual people. This is one of those things that I think is the most helpful when I teach people this. Because of the technologies that we have now, we think in terms of 100 likes, 1,000 likes, 10,000 people on a mailing list. How do we reach this group? How do we reach that group? We think in all these big, big terms. And that, you know what? There's nothing really wrong with that. It's just that in doing that, we have put aside the most effective and powerful thing we could ever do, and that is to focus in on the individual person. One of the things that I did for 7 years straight, and I've encouraged other ministry leaders to do it as well. If I work in advancement for 50 years in helping ministries move forward, I will always do this. And that is, I looked once a year through our list of people, not just givers but prospects, every single individual name, and made a decision about that one person. What are we doing to reach this individual? It by the time of, after what, 5 years, 6 years, it took me days. Well, it went from being a half a day project to a full day project to literally days. I had to block and go through every single name. Who is this person? Do we know this person? How are we connected to this person? Do I know this person? And what are we doing that's actually reaching this individual? If there was one thing you can do this year that is going to totally transform the strategies that you're using to move away from that broad-based approach and to an approach that's actually reaching people, it would be this one technique. Take the time to do it. I've given you, on this video, simple things that are really hard. Stop using the lowest common denominator approach. It will never work that way. Reinvent yourself to remember you can have an impact that no one else can have on 50 to 200 individual people a year. And then lastly, stop seeking after broad-based solutions and be willing to do the hardest thing, the most time-consuming thing. Do it once a year and look at every single individual person and ask yourself, what are we doing to reach this one? And God will use that in a profound way, and you'll begin to see your ministry suddenly gaining new support, new levels of support that enable you to move forward. I look forward to hearing what happens when you take these steps. Keep me posted. Thank you.